On the first day of school, the son tragically had his throat slit, but to everyone's shock, the footage from the surveillance cameras revealed that the killer was none other than the father. Even the murder weapon only had the father's fingerprints on it. At this moment, the father was completely stunned. He couldn't understand. He had dropped his son off at school earlier that morning and left. How could he have become the murderer? However, the evidence was undeniable. He couldn't argue against it. He was immediately taken by law enforcement, and even after being sentenced to death, he still couldn't understand where things had gone wrong. Perhaps fate had pity on him, as he was reborn on the day his son was born. Before the man could fully grasp the situation, his wife, just like in the previous life, told him she needed to take her high blood pressure stricken mother to the hospital, and handed over the responsibility of sending their son to school. Watching his wife leave, the man was confused. It had always been his wife who sent their son to school, and now, the one time he did it, something happened to his son. So, the man quickly called out to his wife, telling her their son should stay home and rest for the day. Hearing this, the wife turned around and gently agreed, saying she would inform the principal that their son wouldn't be going to school today. Then, his mother-in-law kindly brought him breakfast. Watching their usual behavior, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but the man remained puzzled. Suddenly, the sound of his son's voice came from the kitchen. The man ran to the kitchen and tightly hugged his son. Seeing his son alive and well in his arms, the man was overwhelmed with joy. He insisted that his son promise not to leave the house today. But just then, the man received a call from the principal, asking why he hadn't informed them that he would be sending his son today. When the man heard the principal's voice, he realized that the person the principal had seen might be the real killer, so he carefully inquired, without noticing that the killer was right behind him. When he realized something was wrong, it was already too late. Seeing his son die in front of him again, the man was struck with overwhelming grief, blaming himself for not changing the outcome in this new life. He couldn't understand who would target his son like this, and he still couldn't figure out why the surveillance footage showed the evidence pointing to him, even though he was at home at the time. Suddenly, something clicked in his mind. He quickly called his assistant, asking him to investigate something. The man then took his son to the living room, just as his wife rushed back from the hospital. When she learned of their son's murder, she reacted with the same shock as in the previous life. His mother-in-law even pushed him aside, bursting into tears. Seeing their devastated expressions, the man felt guilty for his previous suspicions. But strangely, the police, as in his previous life, quickly arrived at the scene, and immediately pointed the finger at him. Even more absurdly, despite being in his own home, they presented video evidence, showing his son was killed by someone impersonating him. The man was nearly in despair, as he had been on the balcony talking on the phone at that time, but his wife wouldn't listen to his explanation. Just like in the previous life, she immediately decided on the case's outcome. Meanwhile, his mother-in-law hinted that she didn't like the child. At this moment, the forensic results for the murder weapon came in. As expected, the fingerprints matched his. Seeing this, the police wasted no time, and immediately took him into custody, preparing to interrogate him. But why did the evidence from both lives point to him? Who had gotten hold of his fingerprints? What had gone wrong? Just as the man was at a loss, his phone suddenly rang. At this critical moment, his assistant finally had the results.